On that point, there was a sort of dramatic standoff that started last week in the great state of Iowa. That state's Republican Governor Kim Reynolds has she has directed that all counties must resume in-person learning as long as they meet a set of criteria that she has announced. Well, in Iowa, the Des Moines Public School District said that they were not comfortable with that. They would essentially defy the governor's order, that Des Moines was not in a good enough shape, not in good enough position in terms of the pandemic, that they'd be safe holding in-person school, despite the governor's order. Well, that was the case as of last week. This week, the school district voted to keep going with that same decision to effectively defy the governor and stick with remote learning instead, despite her insistence that kids go to in-person class. This fight over Iowa schools opening, it's not a problem that started in Iowa with Governor Reynolds. I mean, this is what happens when leaders, all the way up to the president himself, bang the drums for schools to reopen and for kids to take off their masks while you're at it, right? Promising that it'll all just go away. The governor of Iowa has been sort of following the president's lead on issues like this, but the Des Moines Public School District is responsible for the kids in Des Moines Public Schools, and so far they say they are not doing it. Joining us now is Thomas Ahart. He is the superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools. Mr. Ahart, it's a real pleasure to have you with us tonight. Thanks for your service in the schools, and thanks for being here.
It's nice to be here with you.
So I've tried to put this in a little bit of a national context, but I'm sure that distorts it a little bit from the statewide perspective. Can you, just in your own words, explain a little bit of the decision-making that you and your colleagues have made about what you decided to do here and the conflict this sets up with your governor?
Yeah, we had put a return to learn plan together early this summer, announced it to our community on July 1st. And at that time, we were closely monitoring the COVID-19 situation in Polk County, where most of Des Moines Public Schools resides. And we're trying to take our best guess as to what the conditions would be when we started school. Conditions over the summer continued to worsen. And in fact, at the time of school starting, we were one of the 2 or 3 top hotspots in the country. Near that time, we decided to attempt to buy some time. So we delayed the start of the school year till September 8th. We filed for a waiver with the State Department to allow us to operate in a virtual manner for 2 weeks and hope that things would improve. That has not happened. We filed for an injunction in Polk County District Court in an effort to allow us to be held harmless while we operated virtually until such time that we thought it was safe to return students and staff into schools safely.
The governor has set some thresholds that she thinks are the right tripwires for whether or not schools should be held in person and for other coronavirus restrictions. And they're not in line with the sorts of thresholds that we've heard from, for example, from WHO or from other governors who have tried to set these sort of numerical thresholds. She set what seem to be very high numerical thresholds for how a community, for when a community should essentially be deemed safe to further open up. Has that been a part of the point of contention here? Have you been able to engage with the governor at all on that as to why you don't feel it's safe to have in-person schooling, but she nevertheless insists you should?
We have engaged with the governor and her representatives on a number of occasions, going back to early July. We don't have an understanding of why the metrics that the state is putting forth are set where they are. What we have been studying and learning from well-reputed consultants tells us a different story. So we desperately want to be in compliance with the state, but at the top of our priority list is ensuring that we're keeping our students and our staff and their families safe. And what we do in Des Moines, because of our size, has a broad-ranging impact in the entire Des Moines metro area, and we feel a special responsibility in that regard as well.
I know this is such a fraught, personal, serious thing for every family. I mean, even if you don't have kids, your friends who have kids and your friends who are kids, this is the most important thing in the world right now. And the mass dislocation and the uncertainty and just the unknown and the scariness and the various competing stakeholders and everything. This is just an incredibly difficult decision. I just have to ask, being sort of at the tip of the spear here as the superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools, having this tough decision to make and having this confrontation over what you think is right, how's it been?
Well, I think our community has shown tremendous grace, and our staff has been remarkably flexible and adaptive. We've had a fantastic start to the year, and while none of us would hope to have all of our students in a virtual environment, I think we're executing that real well. But the pressure is certainly mounting. We're the only district in the state that has remained all virtual without a waiver. Certainly that's not where we want to be, out of compliance with state law, and we continue to look for opportunities to find enough flexibility such that we feel confident that we are doing our due diligence in protecting the safety of our students and our staff while also being in compliance with state law. At this particular juncture, it looks like we continue to be at a crossroads, but we'll continue to reach out and look for opportunities to partner with the state and find a way through this.
Thomas Ahart, the superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools in Iowa. Again, thank you for your service, and I know this is a really hard place to be. Good luck to you, and keep us apprised. I know it's an ongoing situation. Keep us apprised, sir.
Yeah, will do. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll be right back. Stay with us.